Hello, beautiful YouTube family. I am back today for this June 1st message, and I received a download last night about poverty consciousness and how we are collectively breaking a cycle of poverty consciousness. This is huge. We're doing this all together on the planet, and you're going to sense individually, like personally, that you are also going through some kind of a breaking of this cycle. It's going to vary for each of us in different ways, depending on where we are on our journey at this time. But many people, including myself, are going through this huge transformation when it comes to our finances. With Jupiter still being in Taurus, our financial sector is definitely like lit up right now in our charts. And there's a lot of people that are moving through old ways of making money, old ways of working, outdated beliefs when it comes to money and when it comes to work and all of that stuff. So there's this huge energy release that I'm picking up on at the moment that has to do with like really pushing this out and letting go of poverty consciousness once and for all, because poverty consciousness connects to victim mode in a huge way. As a matter of fact, the two go hand in hand, right? Because that's why I titled this video Releasing Poverty Consciousness means getting out of victim mode forever. And if you actually are able to transmute this poverty consciousness and heal this within yourself and release it at this time, as we move through the rest of 2023, then you are actually going to be healing victim mode forever within you, within your structure, within your DNA, and within your cells. Like, we are purging out some really large cyclical energies at this time. And that's why right now it is so incredibly important for all of us to pay attention, to tune in to where you're at, where I'm at. I've been tuning in with myself in terms of like, where am I at when it comes to certain things, when it comes to poverty consciousness, when it comes to victim mode, what percentage of my emotions still connect to victim mode, and what percentage of my emotions at this time are now more in abundance mindset. So as we are transitioning and shifting, like, I really wanted to put some information out there. A lot of this is my channeled information. I take notes and I write things down for myself so that I can share this with you guys, because sometimes the channeling just kind of pours through so quickly that if I don't jot them down, like, I'll just kind of lose it. It just comes through and moves through me very quickly. So let's talk today about poverty consciousness, and let's bring some awareness to poverty consciousness and how much of a pandemic that actually in itself is, because it is a global problem. Poverty consciousness exists in every corner of the world. It is not just an isolated issue in one area. Many people, particularly in first world countries, actually suffer from poverty consciousness. So this is a huge problem that we are now, like I said, having to transmute, and the universe is asking us to release this, to let it go, to transmute it, to move past it, so that we can really upgrade and really expand Jupiter, expanding Taurus, expanding our finances, so that we can really give ourselves an opportunity to connect to those higher timelines, to those bigger goals and bigger dreams that we've always had, that the universe always knew was never impossible. We just perceived it that way because of a limiting mindset. And poverty consciousness is exactly that. It is a limiting mindset. And in many cases, and in most cases, it is 100% generational. It is passed down from generation to generation. And this is why it's so important for us to now start looking at it in a deeper way and really start asking ourselves, like, how much longer do we want to continue on this path? Like, how much longer do we want to continue believing in poverty consciousness and passing that mindset along to our children, to our offspring? And how much longer do we want to continue allowing our offspring to also go through this suffering and also go through, lack and lack mentality and victimhood, because of the fact that we couldn't heal it and therefore couldn't teach our children better ways of thinking, better ways in terms of attitude. So it's a very, very important one. And I think we collectively need to now focus on this at this time to really shift it for ourselves. I know I certainly am. So this is deeply embedded in human consciousness, like I said, because it's generations upon generations of people moving through poverty consciousness and teaching, unfortunately, unconsciously the following generations this same lack mindset, and we still do it in our modern world. So this is like, we have to understand that this is deeply embedded. It's embedded in our DNA. It's embedded in our energy fields, and it really is something that can be shifted and changed, as long as we have the awareness to shift it and change it, right? So poverty consciousness is really lack consciousness. It is, and when we talk about lack consciousness, like I'm talking, lack consciousness doesn't just have to do with, because when we say poverty, we think money, right? Or we think things or whatever, but it's not just that. A lack consciousness will actually trickle into every area of your life. It's going to be affecting and influencing every single main area of your life. You can't extract it, or you can't remove a lack mindset from one area of your life when you have lack mindset in another area of life. So this is something I became aware of for myself, that it really truly infiltrates my entire life. And until I can sort it out within me, until I can release it, it's going to continue influencing and affecting all parts of my life. Because lack is think of it as like a pair of glasses, okay? So you're going to put on these pair of glasses that are lack glasses, and say these glasses are black, right? And then I come along and then I'm going to tell you like, wow, life is so wonderful and so abundant and so prosperous and so whatever. But I'm wearing pink glasses because my pink glasses are abundance mindset glasses, okay? And you're wearing the black ones. Well, it doesn't matter how much I talk about what I see through my pink glasses, because you're not going to see that. You're only going to be able to perceive from your perception of lack, right? Because those are the glasses that you're wearing. So until you actually take the glasses off and put on my pink glasses and try them on, you're not going to see necessarily my perspective, or you're not going to see the world through my eyes, through the way I see the world, right? And that's exactly what lack mentality is. And that's how we have to think about it. It's literally just a pair of glasses, invisible glasses, that we put on and we wear for a period of time. For some people, it's an entire lifetime that they wear the glasses, because they simply don't know and don't understand that they can just take the glasses off and put different colored glasses on, depending on whatever color they choose, right? We have that free will and that option, but first we have to have the awareness of what we're perceiving through, what we're looking through in the first place. What kind of filters do we have on our perception? Because without knowing that, you're not going to see things differently. You just won't be able to, right? So, we're breaking generational cycles. I briefly mentioned this already, but we're definitely breaking generational cycles when it comes to poverty consciousness. And there are always, I've noticed this time and time again with my coaching, there are always like a select few within each family that are like the person that is going to break that cycle. And typically I find there's like one, maybe two. And it's honestly, in all the years of counseling I've done, it's been very rare for me to see several highly conscious individuals within one family. I usually see most of the family is unconscious, and then there is one individual who is more conscious than the rest. That is typically what I see when I'm coaching and talking to people, and usually I'm always the one talking to the ones that are more highly conscious, which is why they choose to come and see me in the first place, because if you're not conscious, you're not going to be interested in expanding your spirituality and your spiritual perception of life, right? So those people, though, that choose to be the generational karma breaker, or the person that breaks these cycles and ends these cycles, those people are always signed up for a deeper mission, just something bigger. It's their journey is a bit more difficult. It's particularly more difficult because of the people around them and their lack of consciousness or lack of awareness. And usually they want to bring that one person down to their level because it makes them very uncomfortable when that person is at a higher level, and then shows the rest of the family what that higher level looks like, right? It makes the rest of the family very uncomfortable. So it creates a lot of isolation. And I've seen this time and time again in families. It creates isolation, it creates separation, it creates like a divide, because there's just a different vibe, different vibration that those individuals are sitting at. So it's not an easy job, is really what I'm trying to say, but it is doable, and it is a very noble one, in my opinion. It is one that, if you can really face your own stuff, if you're really aware enough that you notice what color glasses you're wearing and then you're able to pull them off, then you're going to be passing with flying colors. Like, you're just going to do so well, and you are going to be the way shower, right? I always explain to people like that, like, you are the way shower for your family. You are the first person to do this. Maybe you're the first person who bought a house in your family. Maybe you're the first person who bought a car, like, brand new. Maybe you're the first person who, went on a tropical vacation. Like, I don't know. There's so many different scenarios, but there are a lot of firsts for a lot of the people that I talk to, because they are these generational karma breakers, right? And cycle enders. So these people are going through huge shifts, particularly actually at this time. So until a generational karma breaker is born, these cycles actually can't really break or end. They can't be shifted out of. So like I said, it always takes one individual usually that is born into a family who then goes through this process. Or in some cases, it could be several individuals born, but like, you have to be awake to your mission to know what to do and to have the awareness to step out and to be different, right? Because sometimes it can be really hard to be the one in the family who's different. So that individual ends up transmuting the illusion of lack. And that's really what it all comes down to. So I am one of these people who is transmuting the illusion of lack within my family. I am definitely one of the first ones to buy a house, definitely one of the first ones to have a nice car, and like a lot of firsts. There's a lot of different firsts for me that I've done in my family. And simply, I've done these things just because I've always felt different. I always felt a little bit like I was an outsider. I've always felt like I didn't quite fit in or belong. And now I understand why, because I really do see things very, very differently than the average, or than like the people that are around me, or like my family, my direct family. And I just have a different perception of life itself, of like, of poverty actually, and of abundance, and how that is my birthright. I've always felt it was my birthright to be wealthy, healthy, prosperous, where the rest of my family has not felt that way. So I am definitely one who is going to be transmuting this illusion of lack, because there is no lack. In my opinion, there is no lack. And I never feel lack, really, for the most part. And when I do feel lack, then it's just because I know I got to switch out my glasses. So that person actually, and if you identify as that individual for your family, you may struggle with this initially. So I wrote that down, because at first it can be definitely challenging until you fully wake up to your mission and realize and see, like what you're supposed to be doing or accomplishing. It can be very hard at first. And until you learn like the secret formula of emotional self-mastery, you're going to have a hard time with this. So what is emotional self-mastery? Let's talk about that for a moment, because it really ties in with this whole poverty consciousness thing. So emotional self-mastery is the ability to change your emotional state, particularly when external circumstances are difficult or unfavorable. So it is the ability to change your emotional state, especially when things go sideways, particularly when things get tough and when they get hard. Because think about it, that's usually the time when we dip the most in terms of our thoughts, in terms of our perception. That's usually when we really can fall into that lack mindset rabbit hole, right? When things go wrong or when things are just a little bit more difficult. But if you can master your emotions and if you can learn how to accomplish emotional self-mastery, then you're going to be able to pull yourself out of that. You're not even going to fall into the rabbit hole at all, because you're going to notice immediately, like, oh, it's time to put on different color glasses, right? As soon as something challenging arises. And then you're in control. You're in a very controlled state when it comes to your emotions. And you're not going to allow it to get the best of you and take you down these rabbit holes of stress and anxiety and depression and worry and all these different things. So to release poverty consciousness, you must know, or you must understand yourself at a deeper level. Something I became acutely aware of. It's like the more I understand myself, the more I know my internal being and how she works and how she operates, the more I get clarity on who I am, the more I grow in confidence, the more I'm able to step out of poverty consciousness and more into that abundance mindset, the more I'm able to transmute these energies and shift out of them. So there's three factors that determine how well you perform or how well you succeed in life, okay? Write these three factors down because it's important. These three factors are going to be, number one is your talent, number two is practice, and number three is attitude. These three factors will determine how well you succeed in life. So what do I mean by that? So for number one, for talent, talent is something that we all have. We are all born talented and good at something. You just have to find what that something is for you particularly. And when you find that and you connect to like the essence of that talent within you, and you take steps to like nurture that talent and to make it even better within yourself, then that in itself is going to start building self-confidence, because you're already innately good at that thing that you're trying to do, or at that thing that you're doing. And the more you practice it, the more you put time and energy into it and give it attention and focus, the more you're going to expand it, right? The better you're going to get at it. Therefore, the more confident you're going to feel and more elevated. Now, the attitude part, and this is the key, the attitude is like hugely important. It's something I've recognized time and time again within myself. It's something I explain to clients all the time, that your attitude towards everything matters. It really, really matters, because you can have a high emotional state or you can have a low emotional state, and wherever you are will determine the outcome of whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, and just in general will determine actually how you feel and how you go about the entire situation, how you handle it, whether you're reactive or not, so attitude is really, really important. Emotional self-mastery gives you the ability to summon your best version whenever you want to or need to. The more you are in control, the more you are able to really rein in on those knee-jerk reaction emotions, and the more you're able to streamline and steady how you feel about things, the more you're going to have self-mastery when it comes to any situation. And I've noticed time and time again that the more self-mastery I have, the more self-control that I have, the better the outcome of whatever it is I'm trying to do, whatever situation or problem I'm trying to solve. So it really influences and really makes a difference. Your energy state. So let's talk about energy state for a moment, because this also ties in, like our energy state has to do with how we feel inside, whether we're in victim mode or not, whether we're in poverty consciousness or not. So your your energy state is characterized by two factors. So there's two things that really influence your energy state, right? One of them is going to be how pleasant or unpleasant you feel, obviously. And the other thing is going to be how intensely you feel the urge to do something. So these two things are going to constantly play out in your energy field, right? This is like energy that moves around within your field. And how you feel, obviously, is constantly like there's a bunch of different scientific studies and different things that have now shown that you can measure the aura or the auric field, the energy field around a person, and you can see how the color changes of the aura based on like attitude and based on emotion, based on how that person was feeling. And the more flustered or the more stressed they were getting, there was like all this heat being generated, and there was like a lot of actually coolness coming in. It was like all kinds of different crazy things going on in the energy field. It's very fascinating actually to see a visual change of the energy around a person when their mood or their attitude changed. It was pretty intense. So how pleasant or unpleasant you feel is going to influence that big time, and how intensely you feel the urge to do something. So now when I'm talking about how intensely you feel the urge to do something, this is like, it connects to motivation, because most people that are in victim mode or in poverty consciousness are also lacking motivation. They're lacking inspiration. They're lacking that right attitude, that right mindset to help them, accomplish a goal or like fulfill a dream, or, take action or go for something that they actually want to go for. They just don't feel like they can, right? As somebody with victim mindset is also stuck in victim mindset in like every area of their life. So it's like they feel like they have less opportunities. They have, or they feel or perceive that they have less resources, less finances, obviously. They feel like they have less friends and less everything. So it's like everything is in a lack for individuals that you usually are in poverty mindset. So there's high positive energy states that we can be in terms of how we feel, and there's low intensity, right? So the high positive intensity would be like feelings of like being energized, feeling very lively, feeling stimulated, vigorous, enthusiastic, cooperative. Those are all the feelings that you feel when you are actually not in poverty consciousness. So when you are in a high frequency of abundance and prosperity. And there's also like a low positive, which means that you're still in a positive state, but it's not high intensity, it's a lower intensity. So you're neither energized or tense. So there's no stress, but there's no overabundance of energy either, which means that you're more like relaxed, you're sleepy, you're weary. The desire is a little bit lower, and lower motivation. Now, on the flip side, these are all still the positives of when you're out of poverty mindset. Now, when you're in poverty mindset, then you get into like the high negative, which is tension with energy. So this is feeling fear, feeling anxious, angry, frustrated, upset, vengeful. These are all feelings that someone in poverty mindset is going to feel quite frequently because they're in victim mode, right? If you're a victim, then you just suck at everything as far as the victim is concerned, right? And then in poverty consciousness, a low negative would be tension without energy. So that's when you are stressed, but you actually have no energy whatsoever. So that's more on like the depressive side. So that's, you're bored, you're uninterested, you're feeling annoyed, feeling irritated, you're feeling burnt out, very tired. That would be all, again, low intensity, but on the poverty consciousness side of things. So I'm listing these because I want you to check in with yourself right now and ask yourself, which one of those do you feel of these emotions I just listed, high positive or low positive, or high negative or low negative? Which ones do you feel the most? It's going to help you determine what side you're on and how deeply ingrained poverty consciousness is still within you. Okay? So just for a quick repeat, high positive is energetic, lively, stimulated, vigorous, enthusiastic, cooperative. Low positives are relaxed, sleepy, weary, a little bit of desire, low motivation. And then high negative would be tension with energy. So it's fearful, anxious, angry, frustrated, upset, vengeful. Or are you more in the low negative states where you're bored, uninterested, annoyed, burnt out, irritated, and potentially even depressed? Where are you on that scale? And sorry, I dropped my notes here. So to break the cycle of poverty consciousness, now let's talk about that for a moment. To break the cycle of poverty consciousness, you have to become mentally tough and resilient, something I'm hands down working on at this point. I've become kind of obsessed with the mind and figuring out how the mind works and how to reshape the mind, because when I reshape my own mind and my viewpoints, my perception on myself and about life, I completely change my life as a result. So you have to be able to change how you think and how you perceive yourself. Again, acknowledge, figure out where you're at based on those things I just listed, figure out what side you're on, figure out how deeply you feel you're ingrained still in that poverty mindset, to help you kind of determine how much work you have. And the last thing I want to say here is don't surrender to what is. I wrote this down. So don't surrender to circumstances. It's another thing I notice that people do is when someone feels defeated or they feel like they have no resources or no opportunities or, no money or whatever, then I oftentimes notice people will just sort of accept that fate. It's like they won't really put any effort into trying to change it. It's like they just fall into this trap and this mindset of like, well, it doesn't matter what I do, I won't be able to accomplish this goal or reach this dream anyway. I don't have this, I don't have that, right? Hugely lack mindset, hugely poverty mindset, and hugely victim mode. Because as far as I'm concerned, based on everything I've seen in my life so far, if you are healthy, for the most part, if you are able to talk and walk and do things for yourself and take care of yourself, then you are 100% able to transition yourself out of poverty consciousness and into a mindset that will be so much more fulfilling, that will actually support you to accomplish your dreams and your goals. But you have to do the work. You have to recognize where you're at, and you have to make a choice to say, I'm not in poverty consciousness. I refuse to stay in poverty consciousness, especially with the world that we live in today. My gosh, we have so much opportunity. The internet gives us such a huge advantage and such a tool. The world is literally at your fingertips. You can talk to anyone on any side of the world, and you can also reach any type of information that you want just by doing a search. So I find in today's world, there really should be zero excuses for us to be in poverty, for anyone to exist in poverty. There's really no excuses for anyone to be a victim. It's just a matter of training people to get out of this way of thinking and this way of being and existing. So that's why I say to people, like, the more self-mastery, the more you work on yourself, the more you figure out who you are, what you are, where you're at right now on your journey, and what kind of a mental state you're in, the more you're going to figure out your life, the more you're going to connect to your actual talent, and you're going to be motivated to start using that talent to do something wonderful in the world, instead of trying to force yourself and pigeonhole yourself into different boxes that you don't fit in. You know what I mean? So we have to recognize that we are all collectively moving through this. We are all collectively releasing this and healing this at this time. And you heal it by recognizing it first. So that is the video for today. Just wanted to glance back at the notes, but I think I've mentioned everything, so I'm good. I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps you understand how to actually move out of poverty consciousness. I hope it helps you identify where you are on the ladder of poverty consciousness, or whether you're on that ladder or not, and helps you to move into a new direction based on new choices. I hope that you understand that you have choice, and that you can really truly move out of it, no matter actually where along the line you are at this time. You have choice, and you are able to move out of this kind of a mental state, emotional state. And the more mentally tough you get, the less reactive you get, the more in control you actually are, not only of yourself, but of external situations as well. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in and for watching. And thanks for hitting a like on your way out. I also want to thank all of the new subscribers that have recently commented and subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate you guys. And I'm so glad to hear and to see that just so many of you are commenting and telling me how, you resonate with the messages, that you're understanding, you're seeing your own stuff. And it's just wonderful. I'm really getting a huge feedback about how we truly are doing this, how collectively we really are moving forward and overcoming all of our shadows, all of our generational karmas, all of our difficulties to move and transition ourselves into a brand new world that we are co-creating collectively. Like, how fucking awesome is that? So really, really happy to see that. Thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this community, actually, because I'm finding that it's a lot of like-minded individuals that are subscribing to my channel. So there's definitely a really good collection of souls here who are very much on similar pages. So that's awesome to see. Thank you so much, guys. It's really, really wonderful to be here with you all. I love you all. Take care of yourselves and get the fuck out of poverty consciousness, babes. Let's do this. Let's win. Okay. I think it's time for us to win. Let's break some cycles here that are long overdue for breaking. Expired. Thanks.